Hello everyone, this is Data Talks presented by Dun & Bradstreet. I'm your host, George LaRue. I'm a principal consultant for data strategy here in the advisory services team at Dun & Bradstreet. In advisory services, our team is dedicated to helping our clients maximize the value of their relationship with Dun & Bradstreet through expert advice and consultation. And on Data Talks, I get to chat every episode with one of the expert advisors at Dun & Bradstreet about a topic that can help the consumers of our data and services to get more value. Today's guest expert is Janine Morera, a data strategy consultant at Dun & Bradstreet. Janine, tell me how long you've been with the company.
I've been with Dun & Bradstreet for almost 16 years now. I've had various roles within the organization. I started in our fulfillment organization, and then I worked in different areas such as global data content, and most recently our data advisory services.
So can you tell me a little bit about your role as a data strategy consultant inside data advisory services?
So at D&B, our mission here is to really help our clients improve their business performance through data and insights. And as a data strategy consultant, what we're really here to do is be subject matter experts for our customers around the different use cases of their data, whether it be from D&B identity resolution, master data initiatives, hierarchy assignment, or even various global data points. We're really here to help our clients make sure they understand the data, are maximizing the value of the data in the most effective and efficient ways possible.
One of the things that you mentioned in that list of items that we consult with our customers about was identity resolution, what we call matching kind of colloquially. And one of the things that we talk about with matching and that you're frequently discussing with our customers is this idea of a multi-pass matching strategy. And that's what we wanted to discuss today. Can you tell me a little bit about what is multi-pass matching?
So just to take a step back, when I think about D&B matching or D&B identity resolution process, I really think of it like the foundation of a house. It's sometimes overlooked, but it's the most important thing, right? Everyone looks at the exterior of a house, they look at the shingles, they look at, the windows and the front porch, and they're like, oh, how beautiful that house is. The foundation is never really realized. And the foundation of the house is what keeps that house standing. And so when I think about D&B identity resolution, I think of it as the foundation of your data connected to our data. And so really that's the purpose of identity resolution. When we talk about multipassing, what we're really talking about is the ability to take different input permutations that clients may have of their data and take that through our identity resolution process to ideally return not just more matches, but the best match candidates. So more performance, higher performing matching.
So we're really talking about trying to, and this is important to me because I'm in the process of building a house right now. So that whole idea of foundation is important. This is really bolstering the strength of that foundation of matching.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So when we talk about doing these different permutations, what are kind of the extra data points or permutations that customers might have that we can help them through multipass matching with?
So when we think of matching, I think sometimes we're stuck in this common thought of, okay, we want name, we want address, we want city, state, and phone, and country. Those are the critical elements that we need to match. But that's just one set of matching input permutations that a customer may have. So when we talk about D&B matching, we talk about the fact that we have over 420 million records in our global data cloud, which is a massive breadth of data. But the other important note is that we have over billions of prospective data points to match against, because when we talk about the D&B DUNS number and the value that it brings and the fingerprint of a business that it is that, we may have additional points of information on that record. So we may have not only business name, we'll have multiple trade styles names available maybe. We could have, the primary operating address as well as the registered address. We could have former address or former phone information. We may have CEO or former CEO information. All of these are data points that we have when we take your input record and we take the data that you're providing to us to try and have the best outcome of match. So we match against all these additional data points. When we talk about multipassing, it's a very similar concept. You may also have multiple data points, maybe not realized in the existing data set that you're looking at today, but maybe you have a supplier file and you have a company name and you have the remittance address and phone number. But if you work with your legal or your finance, you may have the registered address, the primary operating address. You may have the the registered or legal business name, and those could be additional data points that you provide to us that we can evaluate in our matching process.
So it's really about trying to take as much of the good data that a customer might have and compare it to what we have in our data cloud and our match reference file, and give really the greatest opportunity for one of those to match and give us a strong connection to a company in our data cloud.
That's right.
When I think about what I've seen in data in some of my previous roles throughout my career, I think of company name fields that have things like the ABC company formerly known as George's Donuts, right? And that's the kind of thing that you're talking about.
Exactly right. So, we may see customers have, two names in one name field, right? Exactly what you're saying. Janine Morera, DBA, Janine Subway Shop. Ideally, those would be two separate names. And we could attempt to match using both those names, right? And see where are we getting the best match candidate returned.
So we do just that. We take all these permutations and we try matching with each of them. Then what happens kind of internally? Can you step through that?
So depending on your use case and your criteria, we would absolutely want to evaluate with you, the best outcome. So we have some standard matching logic for Multipass, specifically for the US. Globally, we do have some best practices, but ideally what we like to do is talk with our clients and define their use case, define how the data is going to be used to determine really how we want to approach that multipass. It could be done a few different ways. And so to your point, we talked about different information. Clients may also have non-traditional data points that they want to match with us, such as URL or domain. Email addresses. They may have things like registration numbers or tax IDs. So we can talk about a flow of, okay, when your traditional name and address information set doesn't meet, your performance threshold, how can we look to evaluate these alternative data points to see if we can reach an achieved match candidate for you that would meet your use case needs?
And when you talk about performance thresholds, you're talking about things like the confidence code or match grade string patterns and things like that.
That's exactly right. So we try not to put it in a box of confidence codes. We certainly have many clients who use confidence codes as a point of, at a performance threshold, but there are so many other things such as match grades and match data profile points that we can use to create those performance thresholds with clients.
So in the end, though, really, what we're talking about is the same goal that we have with what we might call traditional matching, traditional identity resolution, and that's trying to get to the idea of one best match, right?
That's exactly right. Who can we return to you as the best match candidate that most closely resembled who you were asking about?
And hopefully that is an improved response. It's an improved answer because now we've got these multiple data points on the client side that we're able to compare to the billions of match reference points on our side. And whereas we might have had a fairly strong match before, that additional information could potentially take us to an even stronger match, an even more confident match.
That's exactly right. And you may also see not only just increased performance on your matches, but also, traditionally where you may have only been setting us one set of, name and address, and there's this percentage of records that don't meet your, thresholds that you have today. Now, when you try and attempt to rematch it potentially on these other data points you have, you may watch this percentage of records that, were not being matched at the level that you needed and just on the cutting room floor, now meeting the acceptance threshold that you have, therefore increasing your ability for automation, right? Auto accepted matches and the insight that you're getting back.
I would imagine that a lot of times customers aren't even aware of the information that they have that they're not providing to us. They might have additional phone numbers or additional business names that they're not even thinking about, and so therefore not even sending to us. What tends to be the typical process for customers to understand, I've got more data than I thought that I could use for matching?
So when we initiate any kind of a matching project or matching consultation with our clients, ideally, we certainly talk to them about, what I call the bare minimum, right? We need name, we need address, city, state, phone, country, preferably. The more you give us, the better match outcome that you're going to have. But we also talk about these additional data points with them so that they can start to explore internally within their own organization if there are different pieces of information that they can obtain. So, whether it's through their finance, where they may be able to get, legal name and, legal address of the business, or with their marketing organization where they may have, CEO and or additional contact information and or additional names. We try to explain to them, we don't want to put you in this if this is all we can take, name and address. We certainly have standard layouts where we guide a customer, but we have to have those client conversations where we talk to them about, if you have these additional data points, talk to us. Let's talk about, where you're getting them from, how much fill you have, and let's evaluate how we can use these in our match performance.
The interesting thing, I think, having been kind of on the client side before, is when you have conversations like that, not only do they address the item at hand, the idea of do we have additional things we can use for matching, but oftentimes they open up a whole new world of discussion for the client around other things that they could be doing with these data that they're kind of rediscovering.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of conversations that come about through talking about what they have available. We'll bring up URLs or domains and how they may be able to use those matches. So, maybe it's not a traditional name and address match they're returning back at, a high confidence code or a match grade string acceptance that they have. But maybe using that URL they can get within the right family, and that can be used for specific use cases within their organization. There's really no data that has to be left on the floor. We can talk about all the different ways they can use the insight we're returning to them, as well as, what are the things that they can do to help improve that.
So why wouldn't a customer take advantage of this? Why wouldn't they take advantage of a multi-pass matching strategy?
Sometimes it's just the effort. It takes time sometimes internally within their organizations to talk about where they could get these different data points. Other times, processes are so ingrained that they have to do a lot of heavy lifting to achieve, how do they productionalize getting these additional data points into the system. And those are all conversations that we'll have with clients. And really, ideally, whenever we talk about multipassing, we're typically testing it out first with clients so we can show them the value that it brings. That's one of the things that we'll do on the data advisory teams is really work with our customers to prove that concept out.
I think we've kind of all gone by the idea that the more potentially good data that you can give to Dun & Bradstreet for matching, the better your match results are going to be. So, it feels like it might be considered almost an investment or beneficial to kind of go hunting around for this data to some extent or another, right?
Absolutely. If you think about it, if you're getting an 80% match rate today, and by passing some additional data points, you increase that to 85%. Now you have a 5% lift, and you think about potentially, if it's a supplier's file, how much spend was in that 5% lift I have. Potentially you could be increasing quite a bit of resolution on some of your highest spend suppliers or some of your, potential biggest prospects that you have. So there's a lot of value in doing it. You certainly want to make sure that, not all data is good. You want to make sure there's integrity to the data that you're sending to us, unless you're really just trying to throw a piece of spaghetti against the wall and see if it sticks. Sometimes there's that kind of exploration activity that you're trying to do. But when we talk to our clients about the different data points, we certainly want to understand where it's coming from, the data quality around it, and the integrity around the data that they're sending to us. More is certainly good, but we want to make sure we understand where it's coming from.
And to your point, first, I love talking about it in terms of customers or prospects or leads, right? Instead of just matches, those are things that really have a meaningful impact on your top line or your bottom line as a company. And, by thinking about them in terms of that's an opportunity for revenue. That's an opportunity for avoiding risk. Rather than just matches, I think it kind of changes the discussion.
It does. Every time we talk to our clients, matching is certainly a familiar term to them, but you're exactly right. We want to make sure we're understanding, okay, how many clients are we resolving, customers that you do business with or want to do business with? How many prospects are we identifying for you? So again, all of that is the foundation, which is what D&B identity resolution is built for.
So, Janine, as we start to wrap up here, let me ask you this. Someone's watching this or listening to this conversation about multi-pass matching. Are there a couple of key points that you'd say you would want them to walk away from this conversation with?
I would definitely want them to walk away with, talk to your D&B team. If you're evaluating, what your portfolio looks like today, talk to your D&B team about things we can do to help you. Have that conversation. Think about the data points that you have today where, you may say, well, I just have, a remittance address. And are there other areas in the organization where you may be able to complementary fill that record with more, whether it's the legal address or the legal name, are there URLs that you have available? And then talk to your D&B team about what D&B may be able to do with that insight and help you improve your performance and, your ability to connect more customers to the D&B data or more prospects to D&B data.
Well, Janine, I really appreciate you sitting down and taking the opportunity to chat with me today about multipass matching and the benefits it can have and how our clients could really start to take advantage of that to improve their match rates and potentially their bottom line.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, George. Have a good day.
Our guest expert today has been Janine Morera, a data strategy consultant at Dun & Bradstreet, and this has been Data Talks. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and if you have, I encourage you to share it with a friend or a colleague. Let them know about the show. And for more information about multipass matching or other things that we've discussed on today's episode, I encourage you to visit www.dnb.com or to talk to your company's Dun & Bradstreet specialist today. I'm George LaRue. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.